communicating across cultures. Okay, so what do you say? Just you can just think, okay, if you can write in the chat box, you can. What do you think this these people are the foreigners in Nepal? Okay, these people are the foreigners in Nepal, and they're enjoying, uh, you know, a color. If you see the T-shirt, Happy Holi is there. It's one of the greatest festivals of Hindus in Nepal and in India, and some other parts of the world where Hindus reside. And okay, and the foreigners who who believe in other religions also are enjoying in Nepal when they come to Nepal. And many people from Western countries, even from Christian group, even from Judaism, they come to Nepal to enjoy this festival because it's really wonderful. So what is understood from this picture is that people from any part of the world is tied up with some sort of culture. Okay, be in Nepal, in Philippines, in Thailand, in Pakistan, in India, wherever be. Okay, the local culture can attract people from different part of the country. And another is there, these are also foreigners, Westerners. They came to Nepal and they got married according to Nepali culture. Like the man, the groom, uh, it's wearing a Dhaka cloth. It's a typical Nepali brand, Dhaka cloth, and the girl is wearing sari and blouse and okay, according to Hindu culture. So this is a culture. This communicates a lot of information. Okay, for a researcher, for a learner, for a student of communication, uh, it conveys a lot of information. And picture, okay, shows they are also foreigner. Means in the middle, a foreigner is there, and on sides, the two Nepali women are there, village women, and they are sitting on mat and they're eating something. So that is a way of eating, or respecting the let's say the guest as well. And you might know this foreigner, British person, okay, and this is the greeting, namaste or namaskar, in Nepal and India, because Nepal and India are quite close to each other, and we have open border. This it's keeping this open border also communicates a lot of information. This also impacts on business. This also impacts on communication skills of people. So people in Nepal can speak Hindi, that is the language of India, and people in India, many people in India can speak Nepali language, that is the national language of Nepal. And we don't need to, get a visa or any other formalities. We can simply take our ID, any government ID. It could be college ID as well, government college ID as well, and enter India and travel throughout the country, and people can easily come to Nepal. So this communicates a lot of information. So if so, in this context, success in global spaces, it could be education, it could be business, it could be management, whatever, it could be insurance. Okay, success in global spaces belongs to those who listen beyond words. Okay, these pictures talk about talk a lot of things, speak a lot of things. That there's no word, okay, but it speaks a lot of things. So those who can listen beyond words, read the context, and honor differences without losing clarity, get success. Okay, so let me ask some questions, and you please think, and you can answer yourselves. Okay. So, have you ever been late to your work, a class, or how is being led to work a class perceived or understood in your office, at your college or university? So, especially students, or even we professors. Okay, when we professors enter the class a bit late, how do we feel? or how it is perceived. How do the students perceive? Or do they take it very simply? It's normal? Or when a student enters the class a bit late, how does he feel? Or how does the professor think about it? What do other students in the classroom think about it? What does the administration think about it? And how do they perceive this late arrival? Say, so if you talk about, okay, talk about in Nepal, the case in Nepal, in most cases it's normal. Generally, the public meeting, okay, delay, start late, okay. But in some cases, there are also certain offices, there are also certain organizations, okay, which demand all the employees to be in time, not only on time, in time. But in most of the cases, arriving late is taken, okay, as a normal thing. But if you go to the western part of the country, or few days ago I went to China for about 8 days, and I went to two universities as well in Beijing and Shanghai, and the timing is very accurate for these people. I don't know what is happening, what happens in their rural part of the country, but in those universities the timing was, everyone was punctual. So now, as an administrator, now, how would you deny your employee's request for leave? One of your employees asks for leave for tomorrow, and as an administrator, how would you deny? Okay, so third, how comfortable are people in your culture in communicating directly with seniors, teachers, or managers? Okay, how comfortable are you as a student to talk to your professor? Do you simply go saying hi professor, hi, okay, Lakshman, hi Dr. Alexis, simply, or do you have some sort of formalities, good morning, bowing the head, or something like that? Okay, it all depends upon our culture. Okay, is it acceptable to say no to your boss, a client? Why or why not? You please ask yourselves and mull over these questions. So, and this indicate, okay, how, whether we are in the, high context culture or low context culture. We will discuss it later. So what makes a culture then? If communication is directly related to culture, and what makes a culture? Again, it's time to think. Could you please some, think of some essential elements of culture? What could be the, okay? If it's possible, I expect you to answer in the chat box if it is possible, or if not, just think, please think about it. Is it possible to respond to my question in the chat box? If so, uh, you can respond. Some essential elements of culture. What makes culture? Okay, thank you. So you must have thought, and some of you might have answered in the chat box. So did you think of language as one of the elements or not? While thinking, you might have, there are so many elements of culture. So while thinking about these elements, did you think language as one of the elements or not? Okay. So if you have thought, it's the greatest thing. If not, don't worry, it is again even the greater thing. So culture is, what is culture then? Culture is everything, okay, we are socialized to think, do, and make use. Okay, how means, as I asked the question, how you were thinking, what thoughts came to your mind, okay, how you processed your thoughts, all this comes from culture. Okay, and if the participants were from Nepal, okay, thinking in one way, you might have thought in a different way. So we think, whatever we do, okay, whatever we are wearing, whatever the dresses we are wearing, it's all because of our culture. Okay, And whatever we make use, we are making this laptop or other other equipments, technology equipments, in order to meet, in order to virtually meet from Nepal to Philippines, Thailand, or India, or Pakistan, or Indonesia, and other places. It's all culture. Okay? So since 2000, almost there was no, okay, we did not use these kind of materials. So it's a thing. And another thing, because of COVID, we got to get connected. Okay, during this kind of platform, I got to be introduced, or I got to virtually meet Dr. Alexis from Abra State University. And since then, we became friends, and we became sister and brother, and we started collaborating. We have also written a paper, published a paper collaboratively. So it's all communication, whatever we are doing, it's culture. And what is culture? It's a system of ideas and behaviors that is accepted and familiar to a particular group of people. So, particular group of people in the sense that whatever we is here may not be practiced in your part and may not be accepted as it is in European context. Okay. Last week I just returned from China. The last week I returned from China, and what they said to me there, okay, one of the professors said, Lakshman, you came or you have come from a place where people are relaxed, they are slow, they move slowly, they earn less and they enjoy more. But in Shanghai, if we walk at your pace, we will die of hunger. That means they are so fast. They speed up everything. And so I was so surprised to see all these kind of things. Okay, language as the carrier of culture. Okay, it carries the culture. The you can also think, you can also study the language. The language in let's say 100 years ago or 50 years ago in Philippines, and the language uh, today in Philippines, you can compare. There are in grammar or in structure, there can be some I mean changes as well. Same thing is happening in Nepal as well, Nepalese language as well. So it carries the culture, it carries our practices, our rituals, and everything. So culture is dynamic. Okay, it changes, so it is dynamic. So why it is dynamic? So it includes okay, these are the elements. These elements are, let's say, language, folklore, norms, values, traditions, rituals, customs, beliefs. These all are the components, or let's say essential components of culture, and they change. Our traditions change. The clothes, the preference of the clothes of the youth, okay, youth in 1950 was different, and today it is quite different in Philippines, in Nepal, in Thailand, and everywhere. So this kind of traditions, customs, costumes, rituals change. The way people, the way people talk to each other in the family some 100 years ago was okay, perhaps quite intimate, but today it's more technology mediated. Okay, okay. Your child is in the third floor, for example, of your house, and you are preparing meal. You need to text your child. Okay, dear son, dear daughter, come to have the lunch. Come to have your lunch. So it's texting. Okay, from calling to texting. So the culture changes. So it is dynamic. And so results of culture of dynamism. What is the result then? Because of the dynamic nature of culture, we face, okay, we experience uh, primarily two types of context in language use, or let's say communication use: high context and low context. Are you familiar with these terms? Definitely yes. Okay, so let me share some points. High context and low context cultures. in high context culture? High context culture emphasizes relationships and bonds, like in Nepal, perhaps in Philippines as well. Okay, I believe so. Later on, I expect someone to speak about your practices. Okay, probably the student or let's say scholars, okay, doing these kind of things. In high context culture, the relationships are very strong. Means collectivistic culture is there. Family is given more priority. Relationships are given more priority than business. And while in low context culture, focus on individualism is uh, okay, at priority. Individual is important there, like in European context. After 18 years of age, the children generally leave home and they become independent, they earn for themselves, they enjoy their life. Okay, so what actually happens then? Let me give an example. When I was I was a student in undergraduate level or even graduate level, and if there were 7 days holidays in the university, a week holiday, let's say, in the university, I used to run. I used to run towards my family because I'm from a context, high context culture, and we emphasize relationships, bonds, and families. And if I were in some European or American context, I would have gone on a vacation with with a okay, close friend of mine. I would have okay, opted for a vacation for a week. So it's totally different. And in high context culture, we use non-verbal cues and tone to convey meaning. So generally with smiles, okay, or let's say non-verbal cues, let's say non-words, okay, and non-verbal communication is much used in high context culture. And low context culture value clarity and neatness in message. Very formal, very specific, message is to be shared. Another, in high context culture, people expect okay, shared knowledge and experiences among communicators. That means shared knowledge means whatever, means from both sides, both the interlocutors or let's say both group of speakers raise a point that is common to both groups, let's say, both party, let's say. But in low context culture, they rely on verbal communication to convey meaning without needing additional context. So communication may be more implicit, requiring interpretation in high context culture. For example, okay, in high context culture, yes, there simply, okay, while speaking, while communicating, it's there. Yes, there. What does this mean? So it's not clear for the outsiders, but the receiver receives the message. But in low context culture, that is not accepted. Complete words and straightforward message is expected from both the receiver and the communicator, or let's say sender, turn by turn. Could you give some examples of countries or societies where they practice low, means where there is low context and high context? Where do you where do you keep Philippines in between these two, high context culture or low context culture group? You might have thought, okay? So let's see some examples of high context culture and low context culture. In a high context culture, like high context culture, Japan, China, Vietnam. Okay, so Philippines is also in this area, Nepal is also in this area, like India, so we generally have high context culture. We give more priority to family relationship and so and so. And low context culture, like Denmark, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Australia, USA, Canada, and so. So what happens in this? In high context culture, indirect and implicit communication is there. They need context. Relationship oriented communication takes place. It's a collectivistic, means the group is more important than an individual. and polychronic. I'll talk about this later. Attention to non-verbal communication is important, and in low context culture, direct and explicit communication is required. No need for context, task oriented, individualistic, monochronic, and attention to verbal communication is important. What believe? Sorry. Communication, high context cultures, they rely on implicit communication and relationship. This is the summary. Low context, they prioritize direct and explicit communication. Okay, let's talk about greetings. So where do you see this kind of greeting? In which country do you think this kind of greeting is practiced? Bowing the head. Okay, you can just think, you can answer, you can write in the chat box, whatever be. Okay, it's for you. Okay, what about this? Okay, what about this? They press the palms. They press the palms. Okay, so this is Shampi in the second picture. First, it's clear for you. Okay, like in Japan as well, they do so. Shampi, they press palms, and it's practiced in some part of Cambodia. Okay, so what about this? Namaskar. It's in Nepal, India. Okay, or in some other part of the people from this region live. Oh, this. It's quite common these days, common everywhere. Though Westerners practice a lot. What about this? Can you guess? Okay. You can get, okay. This kind of greetings by younger to the elder is practiced in Nepal as well. Okay. This is practiced in Nepal as well. But although I downloaded it from internet, okay, in asking the Google to give a reference from Philippines. Okay, yeah, it's common in Nepal as well. We have some commonalities. And what about this? This is called okay. New Zealand, in some part of New Zealand, in the traditional part of practices, they press nose and foreheads together. Okay, this symbolizes unity and life force. Okay, these are all different ways of greeting. And what then? A graduate, okay, a scholar graduating from Abra State University, Philippines, if he or she or Nepal or gets a better business opportunity in western part of the world countries, what should they learn? They should at least learn to communicate, to greet people according to their culture. Okay, according to their culture. For example, in Western countries, they even hug. Okay, when they meet, they even hug both male and female, or male and male, female and female, to respect, to show respect, to greet. But if you come to Nepal, and if as a male, if you come to Nepal and hug, okay, hug another's wife in public, there is very less chance that you return in time to your country. Okay, maybe similar is there in your country as well. So uh, it's taken quite seriously. It that means this hug communicates very seriously in some part of our country, and in some part of other countries maybe it is possible. Okay, it's taken very simply. Let's move on. Need for cross-cultural communication skills. Then, if there are diversity is in communication styles, based on the culture, and why should we graduates or people or professionals in cross-cultural communication skills then? So, because okay, graduating in Philippines does not only restrict you to work in Philippines, it also opens doors for you to go to other countries as well. Sorry, countries as well. You get better chance, better business chances, job opportunities, chances, even marital chances. People travel. Sorry. So it's because of globalization and international expansion. It's because of workforce diversity and collaboration. It's because of technological advancements. We need to, our graduates, we need to cross-cultural communication skills. So what is cross-cultural communication then? Look at the picture there. It's a screenshot. And except one, everyone is Filipinos. And one is, it's me. Okay. In one of the universities, uh, among them, one of the students were presenting her PA, means master's dissertation, defending her master's dissertation, and I was an external panel, and at this moment I captured this picture. So it's because of this communication skills, it's because of collaboration skills. I have been in Philippines many times, though it is virtual. Okay, it's still I haven't been able to travel to Philippines in person yet. Okay, so hopefully I'll be traveling in the future. And many times I have traveled to Philippines virtually and get connected to very good people in Philippines. It's all because of cross-cultural communication or communication skills. So why it is needed? It's needed for this reason as well. And this is the study of how verbal and non-verbal communication takes place among individuals from different backgrounds, geographies, and cultures. And in order to understand this, in order to adopt in this, part of the world, in these cultures, and learning about cross-cultural communication is very important. And I'm going to share three basic aspects of cross-cultural communication that will that okay, I believe help people to adopt another's culture. Okay, it's about perception of time, it's about non-verbal communication, and it's about level of directness. They are very important components of cross-cultural communication. Let's begin with perception of time. Okay, earlier I had used these monochronic and polychronic cultures. This is about time orientation. Let's begin with some examples and discussion. Monochronic, okay, low context. In low context culture, okay, it's a monochronic time perception is there, like USA, Germany, you know, linear sequential time is there. Punctuality, deadlines, and schedules are very important. Okay, the conference begins at 6 a.m. means 6 a.m. No 6, no 6.1 a.m. Okay, 6 means 6 deadline, or let's say schedule. Okay, you need to, okay, a professor might give some deadline to her students. Okay, please submit your assignment on July 1st. July 1st means July 1st. No excuses, no if, no but. That is monochronic culture. Okay, so far I'm familiar with this kind of perception of time. Those countries which adopt this monochronic time, they are far more developed than, okay, polychronic cultures like us in infrastructure and other things. In polychronic cultures like Latin America, Middle East, Africa, South Asia, most of the part of South Asia, not all, okay, including Nepal, South Asia, including Nepal, the time is flexible. Okay, cyclical time is there, flexible. It's 8. Okay, the conference begins at 8. Okay, 8. The what do the participants say? 8. Okay, it's 8. They haven't started yet. Okay, 8:30. That's okay for me. They just think about these kind of things. So it's because of this the countries are, okay, lacking behind. and people are lacking behind. And multitasking relationships, okay, are more important than schedules in polychronic cultures. Like in monochronic culture, people people take the schedule in hand. They see the time in the schedule and they work. But in polychronic culture, schedules, the ones they make and paste it on that notice board, finish. And they start multitasking. And relationships, okay? If someone quite, of your relationship coming to your class, you may not give the value. I may not give the value. It's my friend, it's my sister, it's my brother, it's my uncle, it's my person. So that happens in polychronic culture. Let's move on towards non-verbal communication. It's a body language, it's gestures, it's eye contact, facial expressions, personal space, many more you can add. So we will discuss these things. Non-verbal communication includes these kind of things. Okay. So Hall in 1970s, I brought a long distance reference to this point because it's means I found it's very important. There is public zone in non-verbal communication, 12 feet plus. Stay far away from one another. Zone is there, 4 to 12 feet. Personal zone is there, 1.5 to 4 feet. And intimate zone is there, 0 to 18 inches. Who do you think comes to your intimate zone? Just think. Okay. In public zone, this public zone is used for public speaking or addressing groups. Okay. You stand on the stage and the students are okay down or a bit far away from you. You speak on microphone. You use the microphone to speak. And so that makes sense. And there's at least 12 feet between you, distance gap between you and the listeners. And this also communicates a lot of things. And another thing is social conversations, professional interactions. This one, maintaining non-verbal communication. Professional interactions constitute verbal communication. But in order to attend this verbal communication, we need to be very much familiar with non-verbal communication as well and meditation. And personal zone is there. And company for friends on the close tendencies. Relationship. Okay, come close and they start talking to each other, speaking, communicating, interacting, and that makes sense. And if you start, communicating or interacting with family members, keeping to 12 feet distance, that may be perceived, okay, as differently. Your parent might seem, or your children might think that angry something like that. If you stay far away and just in our culture, what happens if my child starts 12 feet far and he starts to speaking with us or talk to my wife, what we believe, he must have done something that is not acceptable. He must have done some, okay, I'm almost going to complete.
Recording in progress.
Gesture. Let's start with gesture. This gesture means disapproval, dissatisfaction, and the culture determines the meaning as. And see, if you see the Western culture, this means this kind of gesture thumbs down mean disapproval or dissatisfaction and simply negative feedback. Simply, okay, it's not serious, but simply dissatisfaction. And another, in some part of Middle East, some part of Iran, Iraq, okay, this kind of the same, okay, thumbs down, gesture might mean offensive, like the F word, offensive type. That's why it's very important for us to learn these gestures, non-verbal communication while traveling to other part of the country. And in some part of Nigeria, Okay, at some time, this thumbs down meant demand for the death of someone. So look at this. We simply thumbs down, okay, down our thumb to disapproval, to disapprove something. But if you go to some part of Nigeria, some specific part of Nigeria, if you do the same thing, might be the meaning will be quite serious. And so it's very important for us before traveling, before working in some multinational organizations and international organizations, learning these non-verbal communication is very important in order to be fit in multicultural communication society. Look at this. In 2022, I went to Thailand at Rajamangala University, and the students did this. So finger heart gesture. In the beginning, I did not understand because this was not practiced in Nepal. And when I learned this and came back to Nepal, I started using this to my students with my students there in some context in the classroom and taught them this signal, this gesture of what love and saying okay. So that's why we learn when we travel as well. So this symbolizes love, affection, and friendliness. Okay, you have been practicing in the Philippines, I'm very pretty sure. And Korea, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, in this area, in these areas, okay, people practice this in order to show the love or to approve. Okay, to say it, even to say thank you. So third one is level of directness. Look at this email I received from one of my students of Kathmandu University on February 10, 2026. I received this email at 2 p.m. Okay, so I have read some part to me. It was sent to me. Let me read this. It's very short. That's why I'd like to read. Dear sir, with due respect, please see the word by word, the context. With due respect, I'd like to make a humble request. In the beginning, respect. Again, humble request. Okay, I'd like to make a humble request for your kind help in going through my thematic paper and provide some valuable remarks. Something is missing there when I screenshot this. Valuable remarks or feedback. Thank you. Regards, student of this. What do you think? Was this student in high context culture or low context culture? Please think. Okay, definitely you thought she or he is from high context culture, right? Because a lot of relationship building words are there in order to make her professor happy or make her professor act immediately, instantly, promptly, and the student has used so many words that indicate respect, okay, submissive, and so this is from high context culture. And could you please make the same email, change the same email, okay, imagining written by or composed by a student, graduate student from low context culture? Simply, yeah, dear sir, could you please provide some feedback to my thematic paper? Simply, okay, polite but short and very specific. Okay, this example is sufficient for level of directness, I believe. And so finally, what are the things about high context and low context cultural communication then? Okay, these we discussed. This is the summary also, and I don't need to explain this again. The picture is clear. Okay, and in the first picture, high context culture, so everyone is connected to everyone. Sorry, everyone is connected to everyone means a relationship is more important, and face-to-face communication relationship is more important. And in the second picture, lower picture, at the center someone is there and everyone is working there. That means it's low context culture, rule works there. Okay, and misunderstandings are also there. Sometimes language differences take place, and it also affects a lot. Nonverbal misinterpretation and stereotypes, predefined images are there, and ethnocentrism and assumption of similarities. These are the misunderstanding, means possible misunderstandings while communicating cross-culturally or multiculturally. So in order to eliminate this or reduce this or solve this, we need to be very much careful. So we need to try to balance cross-cultural communication through understanding the context. Okay, before you visit, before you visit to a new place, or before you start working for some multinational or inter cultural communication, we need to understand the culture of this place, of this organization, and we need to listen very carefully to these people, whether they are literally speaking something or something differently, and adjust our tone. So like politeness, we need to be very much polite while speaking or communicating with other people, with everyone, let's say. Be mindful of non-verbal communication and ask questions if you don't understand. Just simply say yes, yes, no. You can ask, could you please repeat it again? So this way, we need to very much open in such context and ask for the questions and provide feedback thoughtfully. And don't simply speak and say something yes or good or bad something. So understand and speak. Adopt things gradually. We cannot adopt at once the things. So respect. Another another important thing is that travel, read widely, write, share, interact. So travel, while traveling also traveling also helps you communicate with people and adopt the communication and culture in that place. So in 2024, okay, I'm sorry to share your example, Dr. Alexis. In 2024, I had, means we had some informal discussion about the climate in Nepal and this and that. Okay, I told Dr. Alexis that it would be very cold in January, okay, December, January, and she came with warm clothes, warm clothes from Philippines. But when she came, okay, I still remember the moment, and she felt much colder than she had expected. Okay, and everything was managed here, and so we also loved, working with her and learning from her and so many things. So before traveling to people places, we need to be very much careful about communicating with the climate as well. Let's say, okay, I went to Thailand in 2022, and I carried, means I thought it would be colder like in Nepal, in some part. I carried warm clothes, and everything was useless there. I had to bring them back without using. So travel, read widely, write collaboratively, as Dr. Alexis and I, also published a paper a few months ago, and share, interact, and so. So these are references, I a few references I used during the preparation of my presentation. Thank you very much. Once again, thank you very much from my part and from my institutions. I'm done with the presentation. May I stop sharing?
Thank you very much for the very insightful and enriching presentation and multilingual